Yeah, well, I mean, no. I started off first I started DJing, but then I got into producing. So, as a producer, um, I didn't want to have to pay other people to mix and master my music, and
Okay.
also they obviously that's an art, even though for a very long time there's not publishing involved. I don't know the laws in Canada now. I
Hmm.
know in the United States there are some publishing that you can get now as a mixing engineer. I don't know about mastering,
Okay.
but either way, with that said, somebody you make music, somebody mixes it, they're gonna change the music. It's
Yeah.
gonna sound a certain way, and then somebody masters it, it's gonna change it some more. So I wanted complete control over my music, and then I
Awesome.
also wanted to. I didn't want to have to. It wasn't about even the making the money. It was about spending money. That's specifically why I got into it because of my own music. I
Yeah.
actually didn't go to school for it. I did. My music partner did go to school for it for a little bit, and then he quit. But I learned from myself experimenting, asking other people in the music industry, and reading. Just I put myself in that position by working hard, finding out where these artists are, trying to be around record labels, trying to be around where these artists hang out, trying to be around A&Rs, on the internet, emailing different people and emailing managers, and even on social media, just hit up different artists, and probably most of them didn't respond, but some did, and then that was it. It just
Nice.
it was a issue of just working. But I would DJ at the biggest place in Minneapolis, so anytime big artists would come into town,
Oh, okay.
I would DJ the event. But even if I wasn't DJing, I knew the owner of the place, and he
Nice.
would let me go backstage whenever I wanted to and just talk to artists and stuff.
Nice.
So there were some big artists that came, and I was able to just go there and mingle and get to know them and
Cool.
things like that. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't think it's changed at all. Like it's just Manuel has always been. It's the final person between the music being almost finished and actually releasing to the public. So
Hmm.
it's a very important role. Mastering's pretty much the fastest out of everything else. Like producing takes the longest, mixing is second longest, mastering. You can master. I know mastering engineers who can master a song in an hour. I do it in an hour. I like to go back and listen again and again and again. So I spend a little more than that. But it's a pretty fast process, though. It's not a lot of things going on. It's not
Okay.
like producing where you got to make the bridge and you got to do this and you got to
Hmm.
make the main chord progressions and you got to find the sounds, and then the mixing you got to make sure everything's balanced right and EQ this and that. Mastering, you're just EQing the entire track,
Hmm.
possibly compressing the entire track, possible saturation on the entire track, and then limiting, and that's usually it. Mastering is from a macro perspective, and mixing is micro.
Okay.
So it's like literally, like it's like the phone. This phone, I could mixing would be me actually opening it up, taking it apart, and try to fix it. Mastering would be like polishing it, putting the paint on. Like that. That's the difference, really.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, there are mastering outboard gear decks that a lot of the mastering engineers have been using.
Nice.
But some of the biggest ones now, I think what's his name, Tony, don't for something Ferrari, something I forgot his name, but there's a lot of big ones now that are mastering in the box, and I've mastered a lot of stuff in the box, meaning right on Pro Tools. Me personally, I do it in the box. I use whatever is available to me. So if there's no SSL available, I'll just use Pro Tools and do it right like that. For Pro Tools, you can use stock for everything really, but it's good to have. There's a couple different saturation plugins are good to have. There's one called SoftTube, which was free for a long time. It might still be free. Um, there's one called Tape Saturation. Is it called Kramer Tape Saturation? Any saturation plugins will work, but even if you only have stock plugins, you can use the lo-fi and just turn the distortion up slightly, and that'll kind of,
Okay.
really slightly. But any EQ plugin and the Pro Tools stock EQ plugin will work.
Mhm.
Any compressor, and you're not always going to use compression when you're mastering. It just depends. But again, the Pro Tools stock compressor limiter that works. And then
Nice.
any type of saturation plugin. Usually, the stock ones aren't as good, but I could work with them. And then
Nice.
for the limiter, I prefer the L2 Ultra Maximizer. But if you have to use Maxim, which is the Pro Tools limiter, that'll work too. I think it's grown or died out. I think it's like the mixing and people that I know who don't produce and they only master, their jobs haven't changed. There might even be more opportunities now that there's more people trying to make music.
Yep.
I don't know if there is more people trying to make music, but there seems like there probably is now that people feel like anybody could. But my professional opinion would be hasn't changed.
Nice.
Yeah. Lender's actually, I hate to say it, it's not bad, but it's not. You still need a professional to put the final touches on it. You can't just send it to Lander. You'll still need someone to do that, even if you go through Lander.
Nice.
It's a tough thing to break into. Usually, most people I know who got into mixing and mastering were musicians at one point, and then they got into engineering, and then they got into mastering. They didn't I'm trying to think of people I know who just.
So it's like a path, right? So
yeah, kind of, because you already know people. Like a lot of, even they said in the at the place we went to today, that the mastering engineer was originally a producer, but his music was sounding better than everyone else's. Yeah. So they said, hey, you just be the mastering guy. We'll pay you this. You know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
Even that happened on accident. So like he already had the relationship with the other producers because he was a producer. He already had. He knew music because he was a producer. Nice. And he was mixing and mastering his own stuff. So most people I know, they get into it kind of almost on accident. If you want to go into it, like I want to be a mastering engineer, there's a couple different things I would do. I mean, I would first and foremost, find music. Well, first of all, have a demo, like a bunch of demos of stuff that you've mastered. Find some bands that you're interested in and, do bands that first and foremost make good music and their stuff is mixed well, and ask if you can master the stuff for free. And that's one way to do it, and then put it to your catalog. Like, boom, I mastered this, this, and this. So you could reach out to people and say, here's some stuff that I've actually mastered. Okay. And they can hear what it sounds like. And then you need relationships. You need to get to know artists. You need to get to know labels. And then you really, for mastering, it's about relationships and reputation. So once you have the relationships, then you got to find a way to let people know, word of mouth, hey, this is the guy that's going to make it sound good.
Nice.
Yeah.